Hey, the recording begins now. This is where everything gets interesting and I start to swear just so everybody can hear it all. That's really not true. I'm not going to swear, but okay. So we do this. Here's the thing. See this little guy over here that says plus up at the top. We just paid for the Delta Math Plus features as a department. Apparently, it's not overly expensive, which is great. But what I want you to do is to see as we look at one of our assignments that we've done. Let's say, oh gosh, let's look at an earlier one. I'll look at this Grassen Systems week 3. So I'm going to select this for us. And so we've got these things: finding the slope graphically, writing the equations of lines, graphing lines from equations. Okay, let me do the writing equations of lines because that's one specifically people have seen. Now, if you notice here, there's this new thing here that says watch help video. Okay, right now, I'm not requiring anybody to watch a video. Okay, we'll go through right now. I'm going to show you what we have to do. And there are videos of me going through things that might help you that you could look at it there. But the great thing is that when you go through and do this, if you get this problem, you're like, what in the hell am I supposed to do with this problem? This is insane. You can go in here. If I click the watch help video, I don't know if it's actually going to start to play. And if it is, I'm going to try to pause it. But like that all of a sudden shows up. And now what you have underneath here is a 6-minute and 53-second video that will show you 3 or 4 examples of how this works. They teach it off on the side, they explain it. And I'm going to tell you, the dude that does this, first off, it's one guy that has done these videos for every single one of these sets of problems. And he's a former math teacher. He's the guy that created this program. This dude has probably recorded thousands of hours of stuff. He knows what he's talking about, and they're pretty straightforward, and they show you where to do this, where you can type them in and what happens. You can pause them. But here's the other thing that's great about this. So we do this. Oh, I'm going to start it, and this might suck. So guys, I apologize if it does. Oh, here we go.
Writing equations of lines.
Doesn't he sound interesting? Writing equations of lines. It doesn't matter if he's interesting. He's going to tell you what to do. And you go through this, and you can go through and fast forward to whatever you'd like. I want you to know, if you click on this, what it'll do is it'll let me know that you actually watched this. Now, that's awesome. That's good information for me. It means you're using the tool that we have. And you may have watched it, and it'll say, we've watched it here.
So before we begin, I'm going to show 2 examples.
And I'm not going to have him show 2 examples, but like he'll talk for a while and you could watch him. And then sometimes you get to the point where you're like, okay, I get it. And you could pause it and go back and do the problem. It lets me know how much of the video have you watched. If this is a 6-minute and 53-second video, if you've watched 1 minute and 22 seconds, I'm going to know that that's all you needed to watch, and that's totally fine. But it does help me to let me know that you use this for support. Hide the video, it just goes back to the problem, and we're good to go. Okay? So the video is really helpful because you have a place that in the middle of it, you're like, God, what the hell am I supposed to do? And then it'll show you. If that still doesn't help, then you can absolutely write me an email and ask and say, man, I was trying to do these writing equations of lines and I still don't know what to do. Can you go through some stuff? I'll make a specific video and show this to you. The other thing is, I found out today I can create videos showing you how to do these things myself, put them on YouTube, and assign that for you guys to use as well. So I have not figured out how to do all of that yet. These are all wholly new things that I didn't even think were possible, but it's possible that we could do that. So what I want to do right now is to show you, here's how we would do a problem like this if we're going to be writing it in slope-intercept form. Now, guys, I'm going to try to do this in such a way that I'm annotating, so I'm typing some things here. When we say slope-intercept form, that means we're going to be doing this in terms of y equals mx plus b form. When we're talking about this, this is when we know that the m is the same as our slope, and we know that the b is our y-intercept. And so the reason why I'm telling you this is because these are the pieces that we have to find from any line to write an equation, and they will all be in this format. Now, as I look at this, what I need to look for is a couple things. I need to look here and say, okay, this y-intercept piece, that is going to be the piece that I need to find in terms of the start of my graph. And so y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. It's always the easiest part to find. So if I look at this, that's just this. That's the place where it crosses here. It's that 5. So that means that b part of my equation is going to be a 5. Now, I'm going to just kind of write this up over on the top here so I see it. That 5 is what I'm going to be using for my b. So when I write this equation, it's going to be y equals some number with x plus 5, because that's where that number is. Now, I need to start going through with this and say, what is my slope? Now, when we talk about the slope, we know that this right here is going to be a fraction. I know the top is going to be my change in y, so how far up and down I go. And the bottom is going to be my change in x, so that's how far across I go. So this is my rise and this is my run. So all I got to do when I'm going over here is just sort of count what I have. From here, I go up 1, and then I go over 3. Gosh, this is not showing up. Hang on. Let me see if I can do the drawings a little bit bigger. I don't think it's going to like it the way I'm doing that. So let me make them uglier. So from here, I go up 1. Boom. There that is. It didn't show up. What's happening? So grumpy right now. Hold on. I'm going to make these maybe a darker color. And then maybe I actually have to draw them in. I don't know. So if I go from here, if I go up 1, it doesn't show up. Guys, I get grumpy here. You can see it. I'm sorry. Sometimes when I use the tools that I have at my disposal, they're not helpful. So maybe I'll do it this way. This will be a little bit different. So if we're going to do our change in y, that is going to be how far up did I go? I went up 1. And then my change in x is how many far did I go over? 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to just keep doing that. Up 1, over 3, up 1, over 3. Okay, so when I'm doing this, if I'm doing this correctly, that means my change in y is that up 1. So that's going to be a 1 over here. My change in x is how many I've gone over. 1, 2, 3. So that's going to be on the bottom. So when I write this slope is going to be the fraction, 1 on the top and 3 on the bottom. So the equation for this is y is equal to 1/3 x plus 5. Okay? So when I'm doing this, that is a whole lot of crap to have to go through. Ultimately, when I'm doing it on this sheet, none of that stuff is stuff that's going to show up. Yep, that all kind of moved with me. Hang on. Get rid of all of my drawings. And then I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to start typing in here. So if I'm looking here, when I write my answer, I have to do y equals. Now I said 1/3, so I'm going to do 1/3, and you'll notice it's there, and it's starting to blink on the bottom. Make sure that you go over to the right once when you type your x, it's next to it. And then plus 5 is going to give you where it crosses when we submit our answer. Is that correct? Let's see. By God, yes, it is. We're in good shape. Now, guys, I recognize I've sort of talked through a bunch of this. I want to show you another one of these because the problem we start to run into is I think that there's kind of an assumption on my part that you guys are getting all of this. So let's say I don't type any of this stuff up here. It's still that y equals mx plus b. Something that I like to do, I know it's y equals. When I look at that right here, I know that I'm going to have something here, and this -3, this place where it crosses here, is going to be the end. So right now, I'm going to write -3 because I know that's there, and I'm going to go back in front of it. I know there's going to be some number in front of my x. So I'm going to have to do a slope here somewhere, right? That's where this is going to be. I'm not going to hit submit until I figure out what that's going to be. So right now, I still got a little bit of space. I'm going to type that in here. I got to figure out what my slope is. This is the way that I'm going between these points. Now, first off, somebody has to write this in the chat for me. This is now going downhill like this. Is it a positive or a negative slope if it goes downhill like this? Somebody tell me. Jemiah, you're 100% correct. It is a negative slope because it's going downhill. So I'm going to put a little negative sign in front of this because I know that I'm going to have to do some kind of fraction. And I know that it is going to be negative. So now I'm going to make my little fraction bar. And I got to start typing on it. But I got to count how many I have here. So when I go from point to point, I figure out how far up and down am I going. So to go between points, if I'm making stair steps, I'm going to go down 1 here. 1 here. All of these go down 1 every single time. So that top number, that negative already tells me the down. That top number has to be a 1. Now I got to go down to the bottom here. How far across am I going each time to get to the next point? Let's see. So I go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So it's always 2 over, which means that bottom number here is going to be a 2. So negative, because we're going down, 1 over 2, because it's down 1 to the right 2, and it crosses at that -3. Submit that answer. Boom, we got the answer correct. Now, that right there is everything that you need to know for doing these types of problems, but this is what I need from you guys. At this point, I'm happy to go through more examples like this. Absolutely happy to. But I need you to tell me if that's what you need right now. Because I could go through another one, totally fine. I'm happy to talk about it, and we're recording this. But somebody in the chat, if you need more of this, please tell me that right now. And I'll tell you what we have to do, and I'll go through some. Other than that, I'll go through the skills that we need to on the other problems as well. Who needs more of this? And if you don't, totally fine. Say, not me, and then I'll go to the next thing. So there was a student that asked specifically about this. I do want to make sure that that is enough for everybody. So I'm going to go back so we can look at the two skills here. Writing equations of lines is what we just did. I do want to make sure that we hit this graphing lines from equations piece as well so we can see it, but I want to make sure everybody's okay. I'm about to hit that. Looking at this, graphing the line. Okay, cool. So again, these are great too. Graphing these lines with the equation. So right now, that 3 is always my place to start, and it's always on the y-axis. So find that number that's off on its own. Look here and find it on the y-axis and make your point. Boom. First point is there. That slope there is 2/5. Top is always my rise or my change in y. So I will be going up that many, up 2. My run is 5, or my change in x is 5. So that's how many I'm going over. So from this point, I'm going to be going up 2, 1, 2. And I'm going to be going over 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm going to click that. I just want to check to make sure it's done the same for all of them. Up 2, 1, 2, over 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That gets me a good point. So we are in good shape there. That's how I go about doing this. Hit submit the answer. You sure? Yes, I am. Boom. It likes it, tells me what I have to do, told me the rise, told me the run. We're in good shape. Okay, again, we got a help video for this one as well if we want to click it. Something we can do for any of them. Is everybody okay with this? Or if you need any more help, I'm happy to go through it. Because the other thing I want to show you is the stuff that we brought in last week that I want you to see with solving systems of equations. Because it's been a little bit for us to look at this. Okay, so systems of equations, that would be this guy right here. And it was solve linear system graphically. This is the one where we had to kind of go through and do this together. And it asks us to plot the 2 lines by clicking the graph, click a line to delete it, and you graph both of these things. So this gives us a little bit of practice for graphing, and it gives us a place to sort of show where they're at. Remember, when I graph these lines, it's all of our solutions in one place. So when there's 2 lines on the same XY coordinate plane, the place where they cross is our solution. So when I do this, I will tell you, some of you guys, when we did this on the quiz, you just had trouble typing what that point would be. So for here, if I'm starting at -8, boom, that's right here. That slope is -1/2. So I go down 1 to the right 2, and that'll start me off there, and it'll take me a line this way. So it goes this way for all of it. This graph right here starts at a -4, so I'll click there. If I look up, this is 1/6, so I go up 1 to the right 6 from here. So from here up 1 to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to click that. And now what I can do is see the place where these 2 cross. That right there is my solution. Okay. So when I do that, I have to check and see what's the x value. It's a -6. So I'll go down here and type that. -6 is first, comma. Then I go over here and I check the y value. It's that -5 right there. So I type that in here, and I've got them both. I have to have them in the correct order, and I have to have them related to the x and the y where these 2 cross. So as you do that, boom, you're good. It says yes, and then it shows you where these 2 graphs are and where that crosses. It's exactly what we did. The reason I'm saying that to you is because, guys, what I will tell you, my graph is great. Clearly, I made it. I know how to do this stuff. What you're going to be asked to do on the quizzes that you're going to take, they will have these already graphed just like this, and they'll say, what is the solution to the system? You just have to find the point. And so just make sure you realize your x goes first, your y goes second. You've got to write it like this, and you should be in pretty good shape, okay? So if you go back and take a look at what you maybe did for those problems on the week 4 quiz from last week, please look and see, because there's definitely one that looks just like this. Okay. All right, y'all. We got 3 minutes left. I've gone through everything that I think that we need, but I know you've also got a help video that can show you how to do this. I am going to stop sharing. I'm going to stop recording.